Welcome to Zig. In this video, we'll be going over the features that allow you to integrate your coursework into Zig. Zig allows you to easily reference which videos and resources to study for a given lecture. All you have to do is create a course and a lecture, and Zig will do the rest. Let's say we're currently taking a course named Foundations of Medicine. First thing we're going to do is come over to our courses right here and click on this plus sign. Before you create a new course, you should first see if that course is already created by another student at your school. In this case, it is. So we'll go ahead and select it right there, and we've been subscribed to that course. Now let's say that the course didn't already exist. When we come to look here, Foundations of Medicine is nowhere to be found. What we'll do is we'll come into this new tab, give it a course title, a description, a start date, end date, and then click Create. Now we've created a new course for our school. In this course, we're going to add lectures to know what we should study for each lecture. As you can see, we don't have any lectures right now. So we'll go ahead and create our first lecture. Let's say our first lecture is about cystic fibrosis. We'll go ahead and click on this plus sign, give it a title, make sure it's assigned to the correct course, give it a date and a time, and then this is where we'll describe to Zig what the lecture is going to be about. In this case, it's about cystic fibrosis. You can give up to 3 keywords, 1 to 3 keywords, describing what this lecture will be about. Let's go ahead and add another one, pulmonologists, and go ahead and create. Now this is where the magic happens. Zig will take your description of the lecture, and it will go into the back end and search our database for all the videos and chapters that are relevant to this lecture. As you can see, we're still processing, and as we're processing, videos and chapters will populate into this list. One thing to note is that newly created lectures will be visible to all students at your school. So be careful when creating and editing lectures. Now let's go over how to edit a lecture. Let's go ahead and click on this edit button. And we're going to say, you know what, this pulmonologist is not actually part of the lecture. So we'll go ahead and click out of that. And then we'll add a new key phrase that does describe our lecture. Now Zig will reassess which videos and chapters should be in this lecture. So it's going to go ahead and go through, remove all the lectures or remove all the videos, and then add them back in depending on what it thinks you should be studying for this lecture. We'll go ahead and give this some time to process. As this is processing, I'll go ahead and mention again that this change that I just made is going to be visible to all of the students in my course. So it's very important to make sure to not change anything unless you're absolutely sure that it should be changed. Let's say we see a video in our lecture that doesn't belong there. How do we remove that video from the lecture? First, we'll click on the cap icon. And then we'll see that it's associated with this lecture here. So what we do to take it out of that lecture is to click on this checkbox icon, and then it's no longer in the lecture. But let's say you think it still belongs in the lecture, but maybe it's not as relevant as you'd like it to be. So we have a little relevancy slider right here that can indicate how relevant this video is for this lecture. Let's say it's not completely irrelevant, but it's still relevant enough to be considered. So we'll go ahead and slide it down to the bottom. Now let's take another one, for example. On this one, let's say it's not as relevant as it could be, but it's pretty relevant, so we'll put it right there in the middle. Now keep in mind, all of these changes will affect all of your classmates who are subscribed to this course. Let's say we come across a video that we think belongs in a certain lecture. How do we add it? First, we find the video that we think belongs to our lecture. For example, this one. Next, we'll click on the cap icon. Then we'll make sure that we're in the right course. And as you can see, I have 3 lectures in this course right now. I believe it belongs to the CF lecture, so I'll go ahead and click this checkbox. Now don't forget to update the relevancy slider based on how relevant you believe this video is for the lecture. In this case, it's pretty irrelevant, but it's not as relevant as it could be. So I'm going to leave it about right here. Go ahead and exit out of that. And when we go to our lectures, you'll see that it's been added, depending on where we have our relevancy threshold, of course. And there it is. Now you may have noticed this slider in the upper right-hand side of the screen. This slider helps you narrow down or widen the list of videos for a lecture. Updating the slider will not change anything for the other students at your school, so feel free to play around with it. If we look at our list of videos and decide, I'd like to see more videos even if they're less relevant, we can move the relevancy threshold down to see some of the less applicable videos for this lecture. If we have too many videos in our lecture and only want to see the most relevant ones, we can move this relevancy threshold up towards more relevant. And as you can see, that shortens our list of videos because these are only the most relevant videos for this lecture. And that's how you take advantage of the lecture matching features in Zig. Hope that helps, and thanks for watching.